Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2019, latest version of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Automatic 41. This is the Royal Oak 15500OR in rose gold. So it's 41 millimeters in diameter. It's 10.6 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. The distance across the case is 50.5 millimeters, but the end link to end link span is 55 millimeters. Now the watch is broad, it's big, and it wears like a 43 millimeter round watch, not a 41 millimeter. So consider it 2 millimeters larger than its rated size. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it wears well, but I'm going to recommend you not attempt this watch on a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters. So this is the fit, this is the look. It is broad, it does work well for me, and it is low enough to fit underneath the cuff, so you're going to have no trouble there. But just look at that from over the top. There's not a whole lot of clearance on each side, so you don't want to wear it on a much smaller wrist than this one. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see it has a profile that integrates into the swell of the lugs. So as they flare, so does the strap. As they taper, so does the strap. It's designed to look as integrated as the bracelets commonly fitted to Royal Oaks. It's large rectangular scale alligator leather. You can see it's black semi-gloss. There's a monotone stitch. It's folded on its edge, and it's fixed to the case using screws and bars, which is the long-standing way of fixing bracelets and straps to Royal Oaks, and it's more secure than spring bars. A bit more expensive too, but that's what I like to see. You can see that the buckle itself is a substantial single fold in matching rose gold. It's the AP logo style clasp. This is here to prevent you from dropping your watch while you're donning or removing it at bedside. There's a lot of fine finish on the case, and I've often said that on a Royal Oak, you pay for the finish on the outside, and they throw in whatever you get within as accessories to the main event, and this is the main event. We'll talk about the movement in a second, but finishing all of these components, case back, bezel, it is an intensive process, creating the breaks between the satin and the polish, creating the combination of features such as the character lines that run unbroken from the bezel through the mid-case into the case back, the satination, the blend of satin and polish, and the dichotomy between curves and creases. Now, the original Royal Oak, created in 1972, was designed with a vintage diving helmet in mind. So that's where this rounded octagonal bezel came from. The bolts that are recessed within the bezel, they're hexagonal, and so is the crown, a nod to the bezel bolt arrangement. Now, this is a screw-down crown. This watch is 50 meters water resistant, so if you put it on an AP or an aftermarket water-resistant strap, you can surface swim it. All of the finishing, the satination, the polishing, the creation of these flaring bevels, that's done by hand. The dial is also crafted by a vintage and artisanal method known as a pantograph. It is a mimicry engine, essentially 19th century technology, for taking a large template with this hobnail pattern and then transcribing it onto a small brass blank that is then galvanized black to create the Grande Tapisserie dial. The petite is what you find on the jumbo. The mega is what you find on the offshore. The petite and the grand that you have here are both cut on the pantograph, whereas the mega is stamped. So this is what you want. Now, you can also see that AP does things the right way. We have a black date disc for a black dial. Every brand should do this, not every brand does. The movement includes a hacking or stop seconds function, and it also includes a quick set for the dates. You can rapidly cycle that. The watch does include luminescence, although it's not a hardcore sports watch by the standards of 2022. It does have sufficient luminescence, automatic winding, and water resistance that you can consider it a sports watch. Now, flipping it over, well, maybe before we do, we'll take a quick look at the logo, the hands, and the indices. These are all 18 karat rose gold, so not only do they match the case and the bezel, but they will not tarnish, oxidize, or discolor over time. Now, on the reverse side, we have caliber 4302. This was designed for a new generation of watches from AP, the Code 1159 dress watches, the Royal Oak Offshores, and the Royal Oaks. So it's bigger than the previous caliber 3120, a lot bigger. That movement's around 26 millimeters. This one is 32 millimeters, so it better fills the case back. It's automatic winding on ceramic bearings. It has a 70-hour power reserve. It has the quick set. It has the hacking seconds. It ups the ante from the previous 3120 movement. Instead of a 3 hertz beat rate, this is 4 hertz, the 8 beat per second rate, making the watch potentially more accurate when worn vigorously. We have a full balance bridge with a free sprung balance architecture to better brace it against shock. You can see the movement incorporates a judicious blend of hand finishing and machine finishing. Pivots on 32 jewels, and by far the highlight from a finishing standpoint is the rotor. You can see it's been skeletonized, and then it's been beveled externally, but also beveled within the skeletonized hollows, which means you have these exceptional sharp interior angles where those bevels meet internally. That's very difficult to achieve by manual finishing. You'll also appreciate that there are 3 different finishes here. Well, actually 4. We have polishing on the outer rim, we have satination across the top, we have polishing on the AP logo, and then we have this beveling. You can also see that the screws on this movement have been black polished on their heads, and then we have solarization across the ball bearing pivot at the center of the rotor. It is quite impressive. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Audemars Piguet Royal Oak.